Hello chess friends and welcome to the channel. With today's video we begin our journey into Mikhail Tal attacking mind. The year is 1956 and for the first time Tal is playing in the Soviet Championship final. In round 3 he plays a fantastic game against the strong Simagin. Let's get started. Mikhail Tal with the white pieces opens with e4, Simagin answers with c6, the Caro-Kann. Now d4 and d6 instead of the natural d5. But we don't have to underestimate this minor variation because with it Danili Dubov in 2018 won against Kramnik. The game is now a mix between the Pirc and the Caro-Kann. Knight to c3, knight to f6, and now f4. Queen to b6 at move 4 the game was already original. Knight to f3, bishop to g4, developing the piece and pinning the knight, bishop to e2, unpinning the knight, and now knight in b goes to d7. Here comes e5, attacking the knight, knight to d5, and now short castle for white. Knight captures on c3, the b pawn recaptures on c3, and here comes e6 that clears e7 for the bishop. Now, beautiful move by Mikhail Tal. Knight to g5, but with the central pawns on the dark squares, why to exchange the good bishop? Let's watch. After bishop captures on e2 and queen recaptures on e2, with the queen on the e file, and the knight watching f7, Tal is already bothering the black king. Now, if black continues with the natural bishop to e7 not played by Simagin, f5 is already a winning move. Now, of course, the e-pawn can't capture on f5. Let's watch what happens, because if e captures on f5, white opens the e file with e captures on d6. The bishop is pinned, is under attack, and is lost. Let's go back a couple of moves. So, after the natural bishop to e7, we said f5, already a winning move, not possible to capture. But what happens if black continues with short castle? Here comes f6, g captures on f6, e captures on d6, bishop captures, and now knight captures on h7. 4 pieces on the king side, because also this rook can move to h3. Now, if black captures the knight, is already a 4 checkmate, so f5 controlling g4 is the best move. But here comes queen to h5, this knight is now protected. Then rook to f3, rook to h3 is, and in this position is plus 10. So going back to our game, after the queen recaptures on e2, that's why Simagin, instead of playing bishop to e7, he tries to push back this boring knight on g5. Here comes h6, but Tal doesn't even think about retreating, and he captures with the knight on f7. Not only the knight is attacking this pawn and also the rook, but more than that, if black doesn't capture the knight, then queen to h5 with the threat of the discovery check is coming. So black must accept this knight, king captures on f7, and here comes f5, attacking the file where there is the king. D captures on e5, now this pawn can't capture because it's pinned, but here comes f captures on e6, double check, and the black king recaptures on e6. Now in this position, bishop to e3 not played by Tal is a simple and good idea, because black is forced to move away the queen or move back the king, because if not, with d6 we check the queen is lost. But instead of bishop to e3, Tal found something more forcing and easier to evaluate. Let's go back to our game. After king captures on e6, not bishop to e3, but rook to b1, attacking the queen. So after targeting the king, now Tal is targeting the queen. The rook is controlling the important b file, is attacking the queen, but the rook is unprised. Now, this variation is forcing, because if black doesn't capture the rook but moves away the queen, let's watch what happens. If now queen to a6, also trying to change the queen. Best move, best position for the queen, not played by Simagin. Here comes queen to g4 we check. King to d6 or queen to e7 are the best moves. Queen to d6 seems a bit better. D captures on e5 we check, and king to c7 still protecting the knight. Bishop to f4, and this position is almost +4 because it's not possible to protect this knight, so Tal will regain the piece, is a piece up, and the attack is too powerful. Now in this position, even bishop to c5 we check doesn't work, because after king to h1, we said not possible to protect the knight, because if the knight moves away, for example to b6, this is a blunder, and after e6 discover a check, king to d8, queen captures on g7 is a forced checkmate in 6. So, going back to our game, after rook to b1, not possible to move away the queen, only, not only, but best defensive idea is to capture the rook on b1. But after queen to c4 we check, now the black king is forced to move on the dark squares, king to d6, and the queen is lost. Bishop to a3, check, discovered attack against the queen, king to c7, and now rook captures queen on b1. Bishop captures on a3, queen to b3 we check, no, sorry, queen to b3 attacking this bishop and also attacking b7, bishop back to e7 to not lose the piece, queen captures on b7 we check, and the king again is pushed toward the center of the board. King to d6, now in this position Tal continues with d captures on e5 we check, but black is not forced to capture with the king losing the knight. In fact, black continues with knight captures on e5. That's why going back to king to d6, even stronger is rook to d1. There is no problem if black continues with d4, even if it creates a pass pawn, because now d6 is crashing and this is +6. Everything is falling apart. There is no time to keep advancing. Anyway, let's go back to our game. After king to d6, d captures on e5 we check, so there is no counterplay for black. Knight captures on e5, and now rook to d1 we check. King to e6, still protecting the bishop. Queen to b3 we check, and now king to f5. Rook to f1 we check. King to e4. Rook to e1 we check, and again king to f5. Now g4 we check is the best move, because the king can't capture the pawn or this knight is lost. The knight can't capture the pawn because he's pinned to the bishop. So king to f6, and now rook to f1 we check. After king to g6, now here comes the queen's invasion. Queen to e6 we check, we win something. King to h7, and now better to capture the knight that is attacking the pawn. Queen captures the knight on e5. Now rook to e8 defending the bishop. Rook to f7 attacking the bishop, conquering this, of course, important 7th rank, also threatening checkmate in 1. So bishop back to f8 protecting g7, and the queen is under attack. Queen to f5 we check, and king to g8. Now it's time to improve the king. King to f2, bishop to c5 we check, king to g3, rook to e3 we check, and now king to h4. The second rook moves to e8. Time for the first simplification. Rook captures on g7 we check, because the queen cannot capture, because this rook, because the queen was protecting the rook. So to simplify, at least now Tal is gaining one pawn. King captures on g7, and now after queen captures on c5, Tal is has a queen on the board against two rooks, but is 2 pawns up, and the third pawn, one of these 2 pawns, is going to fall. Now rook to d6 is protecting one pawn. Queen captures on a7 we check, and king to g6. Queen to a8, there is this terrible check from behind, so here comes king to f6, and now a4, the pass pawn is advancing. King to e5, a5, king to d5, queen to d8 we check, also clears the e5 with tempo. King to e4, a6, king to f3, a7, so at the next move the pawn will promote to queen. Rook to e2, the threat is that rook captures on h2 is checkmate, but here comes queen to d3 we check, rook to e3, shielding the king, the last simplification, queen captures on e3 we check, and Simagin resigns because after king captures on e3, the pawn promotes to queen, and of course this is a simple win in the endgame. So a fantastic game played by a young Tal with many attacking ideas and also with some simplifications, and I really hope that you enjoyed the game. I will show you many more of Tal's games, so let me know in the comments below the video if you are happy about that. Our analysis is over, please don't forget to like the video and to subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching and see you tomorrow. Goodbye!